Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Hope you're doing fantastically well. I'm finally back after this dreadful cold this week. But guys, smashing out videos left, right and centre today. I'm actually on annual leave. So let's go into our first topic. And we're going to be talking about energy. We've done a few videos on energy in general around crypto and blockchain. So we're just going to touch up on a couple of things because there were a couple of questions in a few comments in the last few videos on those about like the partnership aspect and like what's actually going on. So we're going to do a little intro video in a second, which was actually on Shell, which is one of the partners, for example, for Energy Web Foundation, which is EWT on the exchange, which we cover quite a bit. And we'll just go into a bit more detail as to why it's a great investment, not necessarily just for this run coming, but also for the future. These are really early adoptive stages before things really take off with blockchain and energy. So first of all, guys, thank you for following us. Absolutely smashing the subscribers right now. Nearly on 3,000 already. It might even happen by the end of this weekend. How good would that be? Very spooky indeed for Halloween. So guys, thank you so much for your support. And please do continue to share with your friends and family and whoever else. On the street, in the train, who cares? Whales of Wall Street is where you want to be, right? So guys, let's jump into this. First of all, Energy Web have done a fantastic job by reinventing their website. A lot cleaner, clearer, kind of fitting really for what they're trying to do with energy. So it's very much more understanding, easy to understand, great knowledge bases case studies. So I do recommend, when you've got some time to have a read through, go and check out the other aspects of their website. But it's really nice flowing website, and more importantly, down to earth, because I think in the previous one there was a lot of like jargon and stuff and this and the other. Look at that, partners, XRP, Ripple, Eon, Vodafone. We've covered quite a few of these recently, but we'll go into a couple of those right now actually. So we're going to talk about like blockchain in general and the tokenomics. So in the previous videos we discussed kind of like the fuel crisis and stuff going on around the world, and why is that? And in my opinion, it's very much gearing us to influence more and more EV sales for sure. Fuel prices are going up and up when actually there isn't really a requirement to do so. So it's almost like a forceful initiative. We talk about Agenda 30 a lot, which is about sustainability, diversification, loads of other different things, but especially a big topic around energy consumption and climate change and this, that and the other. It fits the narrative kind of medium as well at the moment, going on about the green policies and this, that and the other. So it's a phenomenal time while everyone else is asleep or being distracted by the news and other things like meme coins, to actually think about things that are actually going to have real world value. Okay, so do check this website out, but let's go into this video because it's quite a good little introduction as to how blockchain will be helping the infrastructure of energy moving forwards and why it affects you or how it affects you. So let's just go and have a quick listen to this. I'll keep quiet for about 2 minutes and hopefully we'll all learn something. Okay, so bear with us. Let's go.
For the world to reach net zero emissions, a global low-carbon energy system is needed. But how can individual consumers and businesses purchase low-carbon energy if local supply is limited? And how can low-carbon energy suppliers build a market if there is little local demand? It is possible to create a system where low-carbon energy can be sold virtually to anyone across the world, while the physical energy itself is supplied locally. For example, a small renewable power supplier in Indonesia could sell electricity directly to a US car maker. But this new way of supplying energy may raise questions. Is the electricity really green? Was the hydrogen produced using renewable power? And when it comes to carbon credits, do they really represent the removal of carbon from the atmosphere? Blockchain is one of the emerging technologies that has the potential to answer these questions. It can make it possible to track low-carbon energy and certificates from their origin through every stage and transaction. Blockchain provides a way of storing details of any asset and transaction, not in one central database, but across a network of computers. This provides a secure, transparent, and tamper-proof record that all parties involved can rely on. It can enable individuals, companies, and even smart things all over the world to interact and transact directly, based on a secure, trusted system without the need of an intermediary. This would allow almost any producer to sell low-carbon energy to customers globally, encouraging them to invest further, expanding supply. And consumers would be able to buy energy from new suppliers, confident that it had been produced from low-carbon sources. Blockchain also creates the potential to transform the way parties collaborate and interact, to accelerate development of low-carbon technologies and products. Shell is exploring a range of ways blockchain could support the energy transition. By verifying the provenance of nature-based carbon credits, by proving the source and attributes of energy products, for example, verifying that hydrogen has been produced using renewable energy, or by helping individuals to buy and sell locally produced energy. It is still early days, but these examples show the potential for blockchain to build trust, create connections, and transform value chains, accelerating the energy transition. Visit shell.com/blockchain to find out more.
Now, guys, wonderful presentation from Shell there. So obviously there's like a magnitude of, different, really interesting aspects of how blockchain is going to, affect the energy sector, the way we buy and sell and trade energy. It's giving people more power in some ways. Of course, we've just looked at kind of almost, I would maybe on the verge of like a centralized aspect of energy, in the sense, Shell, big, massive corporation, obviously, and you might be thinking, hang on a minute, why do we want to do that? But there's going to be options and availability in the near future with other aspects of different blockchains. We talk about POWR, POWR as well, the POWR ledger. There's loads of other different ones that are actually allowing people to essentially, through Web3 and other service SaaS aspects, to essentially have the opportunity to create your own power and utilize within your own system to make direct profit or direct transactions with other people in your communities, or like in that example, around the world. So, for example, I could have solar panels on my roof, I could have a battery, and then the transmitter is then effectively working with Web 3.0 protocols and things like that. And then we are looking at pretty much being what they call a prosumer, which is the aspect of you and I, rather than a company, being able to produce energy and put it onto blockchain. So there's loads of different aspects of blockchain, as I just mentioned, about the certification and things like that. So for example here, Energy Web and EDF partnering. So EDF, massive French energy company which power a lot of countries around Europe and including the UK. These guys are looking into that aspect of contractual value on the blockchain, ensuring that it's legitimate, verified, and all these things that blockchain comes with, for the certification aspect. So it means that you and I can't abuse the system as such. So that doesn't mean I'm like, oh, demand's very high right now, I'm going to put my energy prices up for everyone to take my solar energy, blah blah blah, because that's the whole point of the community build and the energy on blockchain, is that it's fairer, it's more secure, it's more efficient. So it works essentially with AI and IoT. We talk about other projects. You got to think about the whole entire blockchain system, guys. It's not just about energy and how that's going to work. It's about AI, algorithms, and IoT infrastructure of devices, internet devices, working all harmlessly to know that actually we don't need to decide for ourselves the demand and supply. It's all done automatically. And it's the same principle with electric cars, because eventually, with all these electric cars and everything on the same network, we're interlacing it all automatically. So it means that, for example, you may have surplus energy in your home or your car. You're able to put that onto blockchain and sell it, make some money for yourself, of course, but then create an efficient system that actually we're not just wasting energy here. We can actually just start sharing it about more, and then hence the narrative around reducing the CO2. Now, this is all very early days, like the video kindly just suggested, but imagine like as this starts adopting over the next 5-10 years and into the future, this is where these projects are going to be well ahead. As I've mentioned in previous videos, EWT or Energy Web Foundation is an older blockchain, for example, than Ethereum. It's been around for ages. It's just that there's been no adoption. That's why, when you look at prices and things like that and where things are going, can you imagine like EWT, which we'll go into the chart in a second, being arguably, in my opinion, very low in comparison to where it will be in the future, and that's the same applied to other energy token aspects. It's going to be absolutely massive, and the EV market, of course, is absolutely exploding right now. Why do you think that is? Because, well, one, they're becoming more mass produced. Two, the narratives out left, right, and centre about fuel prices and fuel crisis. What do you think? Just think, guys. Sit back and think, what's that going to do to the market, to the people, behavioural patterns? They're going to be like, oh, I'm fed up with this. The energy prices keep going up and up, and in the fuel tanks. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, you're probably going to go and think, do you know what, maybe it's time to go and get an electric vehicle conveniently. It's all part of the whole narrative, guys. But Volkswagen here, for example, massively integrated with Energy Web, looking at that aspect of the EV charging and the tokenomics of it, and also, more importantly, like the trust mechanism in the background, because you obviously want to still remain anonymous when you're trading through blockchain. So you've got that GDPR identity aspect, and of course there's multitude of projects out there in blockchain technology that help with that as well, and I'm sure Energy Web had that aspect in theirs too. But yeah, it's very much about the distribution of energy and utilizing electric cars to be able to. Can you imagine like here in the UK, right? I think I've done some research a few years back for the car markets and things like that, but let's say we've got like a 30 million odd homes in the UK, and let's say even like, this is very conservative, like 50-60% have cars, and maybe they might have 2 or 3 cars. You imagine the magnitude eventually, say like in 15 years, 20 years time, how many electric cars there will be in the UK alone on its own network, and arguably they'll probably be driving themselves by then. But it's literally that aspect. They could just drive past each other. And with the aspect of Web 3.0 and hotspots in each car, they'll just transfer energy left, right, and centre all the time. How do you think that's going to work? It works through blockchain because of the quick, simple aspect of the tokenomics and blockchain transactions at the speed. We always talk about transactional speed on blockchain. That is not related fully to finance, okay? Finance you can understand all day long, but actually transactions are essentially actions, yeah? The transferring of actions. So it could be literally anything via tokenomics. And that is exactly the same principle for energy once you combine it and intertwine it with blockchain. It's a bit mind-bending right now, but trust me, when you read more and more about this, and that's what I do recommend, we're not all about charts here, it's about the thinking process, the thought process behind everything, and encouraging, when you're investing, what is the actual project you're investing in, and what's the potential of it, what's the value of it in the future. I know where the energy sector is going. Hopefully these videos entice you guys to realise what's going on, and then you can make a justified decision in your own mind. So I'm not here to say that you should definitely go and buy EWT. Like I said, there's other ones like POWR if you wanted something on the cheaper scale in terms of each token's price. They're still going to follow the same sort of pattern. It's not just be Energy Web that's taken the whole entire market of energy and blockchain. There's a multitude of them, and for the whole entire world of blockchain to work, it all needs to interlace with each other anyway at some point, for sure. So guys, hopefully that's been a little bit of information that you can take away and have a bit more of a justified information decision in your minds when you're investing. But that's just a few top level ideas in conjunction with why I'm invested and where I see energy and blockchain going in the future. On that note, guys, let's jump into the chart for EWT. Do smash that like button if you're enjoying the content. Forgive me if I stop talking every now and then. It's because I'm still trying to breathe properly and swallow and all that stuff, blah blah blah. Anyway, too much information. So guys, EWT currently floating around $10 again. I did bag a few more yesterday or the day before, sorry, in that dip that we saw across the market. Everyone was in absolute panic mode. I think even some people were throwing random comments in some of our videos saying, oh, you know what you're talking about, it's gone down. Well, excuse me, but the crypto market can do these things. I don't think many people anticipate that within 1 day's period, but my argument is that we're still quite spot on, that we're looking for these new support levels. We're on the final stages of the real shakeouts before we take everything to another level. Let's see what we're talking about here. So here, 2 days ago, we had the correction like you see in a multitude of charts and assets. And it's quite normal because most of them had this similar pattern of massive gains over that period of time. So we had the correction, of which I do not go crying about. I go, wow, okay, this is a project I absolutely love and really believe in, and I'm getting it even cheaper. So I know it's silly, but I've saved a good $1 or so. And then look at that big, massive correction back upwards. And now we're pretty much where we were a few days ago. So what's the problem? Anyway, so guys, we're floating around just above this $10. We've mentioned in a previous video that $10 very much is a very big area right now for EWT. It's being tested to the max. We've seen it in these 2 days, dipping down to this $9.7 mark. And even here, look at this, complete rejection, arguably, at this 9.6, 9.7 mark. And it's fully retracing itself around this $10 aspect. So actually the $10 mark is slightly under this fib retracement level here. So if I just go to roughly around here, can you see that? So what we're looking at here, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and 26th actually, above the $10 mark, we had the correction down, and it's almost like a final confirmation, a final shakeout, get rid of the people that are fed up or whatever, or bored, and have the real people left behind to take this to another level. And I think there's full massive, sorry, the post person has interrupted. And so yeah, this is where it is now, guys. And I think what's really building is the momentum behind it, the belief, the confidence. And we're seeing that in a lot of projects now. It's like, think of a volcano. I'm not saying it's going to absolutely explode, but you know, you get like the lava tipping first for the encouragement, and then it explodes, and that's where the FOMO comes in. I think that's quite a good analogy. But I think like right now, we're in that sort of stage where the volcano underneath, you can't see it, but there may be some smoke coming out the top because you think that something's building up in the back. And I think that's where this bit was. Okay, so we had this dip down, the cooling off period, if you like, around 28th of September. And now we had the uptake, bit of a bubbling up. We've had the cool down, the bit of a retraction. But now it feels like behind us is something really important because the volumes are already here. This is now a question of people going, oh, cool, wow, this is a very nice stable price. I think this is a good new low high. And then the investment starts kicking in again. Now, the MACD is showing that we're in arguably a bear movement right now. And we can clearly see that in this movement here from that point of the 14th of October with the retracement. So we did have the high here at around, what was it, highest of 13.2. So a few dollars retracement. But now we've had this kind of anticipation of the gap was trying to move away and it hasn't. So I anticipate this gap to be narrowing soon, and this hopefully this pale movement continuing into a lower volume fashion of sell-off before we start dipping back into the green movements as well. And we look at the RSI again. I hate these buttons that they've put in the middle of these charts because it annoys me and I can't see the lines. So just floating above our heads on our ship on the screen right now, you see the RSI is very much around this 49 mark. Now it did dip as low as 45, which I think is quite reasonable in some cases. On the 14 one that we used specifically, I do tend to try and look for that kind of 70-40 model, but for me it hasn't gone down as much as I thought it would. I thought we would be coming down maybe not necessarily too low, but certainly maybe lower at spectrums than $9, but actually right now it's showing some good strength there. So that's good, but I think right now we're in that middle aspect, and that's where I go back to my point about things bubbling in the background. It feels like we're really building strength at this level. It doesn't necessarily want to come back lower. That's not to say it won't. But I do think if it's going to start testing this level again. I think it would be very hard for us to come back down to lower than $9. But whatever it is around this area is absolutely fantastic. I was bagging a lot of EWT around here, around $4, I think it was. So we've had some nice growth since then. But I think as we're approaching through November and December, and especially around the narrative of energy continuation around the world, I think this is going to be a load of narratives, a load of partnership announcements, and case studies that are really going to push this project to another level, as well as just the general organic growth of investment in the charts as well. And on performance-wise, weekly it's fairly weak, 0.2%, so it's not huge. But monthly, 3 monthly, and the year-to-date and year in general, quite healthy. It's not a fast mover, and I'm wondering, I know there's a lot of institutions invested in this for sure, but from a retail level, I think people sometimes get put off by prices sometimes. Like they think, oh, $10 is very expensive. How dare they? But you've got to look at things like the market cap, of course, and things like that. But more importantly for me is, what is this project worth in the future? Not necessarily from a price point, but what's it going to be doing? And that's why I believe in it fully. And I'm happy to be buying even at $10, like I was yesterday at 9.7 or whatever it was, or the day before. And that's where I think it can scale up to. What was going to happen in the next few months? I genuinely believe that EWT could get to arguably $70, $80 in these next few months. Correct me if you think I'm wrong in the comments below, but I feel it. Just based on analysis and the history data, and of course some other technicals like the fib retracement, etc., that we could arguably get to at least that $70 mark. And maybe top end around 80. I don't know, the exact top end, but I would be anticipating that. And that's not a huge move, actually. I mean, let's just have a quick look at that in the price range chart here. So from its current position, what does that look like to get to those top levels? Now, it is quite top heavy. But is it possible? I think it's possible. If you think of how many other assets do take these charge points, and I think it is definitely achievable. So let us know in the comments below what you think of this, and we can pull some of those out into the next chart, get your price predictions for EWT. And quickly before we sign off here, I'll just have a quick look at POWR as well. So this is a similar kind of project. These guys have got some fantastic case studies going in right now, actual activations, real world activations of what they're doing. And you see the price point is a lot more different to EWT. I think that's mainly because of the age of the project. This, in my opinion, is a very early adoptive kind of price, really. Obviously, if you got in lower than this, even back in June when it was like 10 cents or something, fantastic. But even right now, for the future development of energy and blockchain, I'm buying right now POWR anyway. It's in my portfolio, and I'm just bagging every drops that I see, because I believe, as I said, in the energy sector's transition to blockchain and tokenomics aspect, and where it's going to go. And again, the RSI being quite low, obviously a couple of days ago was a fantastic opportunity to jump in, but right now I'm absolutely happy to be doing the same as I am with EWT. So, year to date on this one in particular, or even the year in general, 355% up. So congratulations to those that got involved in that early. But there's plenty more to come, guys. And I'm not just talking about this run. Please look beyond these next few months. Sometimes projects are long-term holds, and there's a reason for that. I do anticipate that we'll get some good gains from these projects, but I do anticipate in 5-10 years time, you'll be looking back at these prices and absolutely laughing as energy gets taken over by blockchain technology and infrastructure. Guys, I'm going to wrap that up there. Let us know what you think in the comments below, or if you're holding either of these two tokens. And hopefully you found it informative. We'll see you in the next energy update video, perhaps next week. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.